Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with a cheating partner. This is a question that I get asked a lot, and apparently, with the divorce rate we have in this world, there's a lot of people out there that are hurting. Either they just found out, or they heard from somebody that their partner is cheating on them, and so I hear a lot of questions about what to do next. Okay, um, and truthfully, it's really difficult to answer because every situation is different and how everyone reacts to the situation is different too. But I did do some research, and there are five things that you guys can do if you find yourselves in a situation, a relationship where your partner's cheated on you. Okay, I'm going to just dive right in. The first thing is to have a discussion with your partner. Calmly ask them why they cheated and the reasons for cheating. Keep in mind, finding out the reasons is helpful because if your partner was just trying to avoid working on the relationship to resolve conflicts between you two, then there's an opportunity for both of you and your partner to get counseling and learn how to communicate effectively and resolve problems in a healthy manner. Because let me just stop right here. Um, it's important to, when you first find out, you'll probably be in shock. Okay. Most people get numb and they get shocked. And then after that, you probably will start feeling angry, and that's all normal. It's all normal being a human being when you find that someone that you love or if you're in a relationship where your partner, someone that you love has betrayed you, it's not an easy thing to accept, especially when you hear it the first time, right? So give yourself time to get over the shock. People say, should I approach my husband or or boyfriend or girlfriend or wife immediately? Some people do. They can't contain their emotions, and they go right towards the other person and partner and try to confront them. I would say just hold off a little bit if you can, okay? If you are very upset and you wanna just, uh, you know, confront the situation, then by all means, you need to do what's in your best interest, okay? But if you can, I would say try to calm down, okay? Try to just let the truth sink in for just a little bit until you get, you know, clear on what the next step is, okay? Because it and the reason why I'm saying this is because it's difficult to resolve anything when one or both parties are extremely angry. There's gonna be words are said, you'll be operating from a point of anger, and usually when people are angry, they're not that rational, and they can't really think straight when they're angry. So, I would just say, if you can, okay, I would just take maybe a half hour or so, cool down, think about think about everything that you wanna say, and then approach your partner in a calm manner. And there's an advantage to doing this, okay? If you approach your partner in a calm manner, they will probably be less defensive and more honest. If you attack them and you go at them angrily and you start yelling and screaming, first of all, they're going to get defensive. And at that point, you both are just going to be saying hurtful, angry things, and you're not really going to get to the purpose of the conversation. Okay, I think regardless, how you feel, you still wanna know why the person cheated on you. You may already know why they did, but most people, when they find out, or I shouldn't say most, but some people find out and they're just totally surprised. Okay? They thought their marriage was fine or they thought their relationship was fine, and all of a sudden they find this out. And so a lot of people wanna know what happened. So if you remain calm, you have a better chance of getting that information out of your partner so it could bring some understanding to yourself. Okay, so the first thing is to have a discussion with your partner. Cheating is never a solution because it just creates more problems, adding to the already existing problems. And now with cheating, there is a trust problem. And that's serious because trust is required to build emotional intimacy in a healthy relationship. Trust is the foundation of a friendship. Okay, so we need to keep this in mind. Trust is the foundation of a friendship. So it is that's why it is such um a shocking, hurtful thing that happens, that those of us who've experienced it, why it's so hurtful is because it's the foundation of your friendship. right? You can't have a good friendship if you don't have trust. Okay, so the second thing is to seek counseling and emotional support. Talk to a licensed trained counselor or trusted friends and family members. Talking to them will help you to process your emotions. Okay, so if you can't afford a counseling at the moment, okay, and you definitely need someone that you want to vent to and talk to, then I would talk to your closest friends and family members that you trust. Okay, don't just talk to anybody. This is a very serious problem, and you want to talk to people that have your best interest in mind. So I would go to friends or family members that you know care about you. Okay, and this way you could have a shoulder to cry on. You have someone to vent to, and it will help you process your emotions and your feelings. Okay, and it can also help you get calm too. And as a matter of fact, you may want to do this first before you decide to approach your partner. Okay, this will definitely help you to calm down, process your emotions. Okay, the third thing is allow yourself to feel your emotions. Whatever you do, don't stuff your feelings of hurt, anger, or sadness. Allow yourself to feel the pain, grieve, and cry if you need to. Okay, so this is part of the last point of going to get counseling and emotional support is that you want to allow yourself to feel your feelings. I know a lot of us, I shouldn't say a lot of us, some of us um, are not used to being expressive. Okay, we may be uh, the kind of person that don't feel comfortable expressing our feelings, or we don't know how to, so we just stuff all our emotions. And folks, that will only you will only hurt yourself when you do that. Okay, because if you're taking the stress in, then your body is receiving that stress, and your health will could be at risk at some point if you keep taking in this internal stress. Okay, you may not feel it on the outside, but internally, your body is feeling the stress. So it's never a good idea to stuff your emotions. You need to get that out in a healthy manner, of course. I'm not saying to go out on a rampage and hurt people when you're angry. Absolutely not. I mean, you need to emotionally regulate to the point that you could express yourself in a healthy manner. And that means venting to your friends. Now, you can cry and scream and kick alone. If you're alone and you want to let out your frustration, that's fine, right? And if you're around your family or friends who you trust and they allow you to get upset and angry, as long as you're not hurting anyone, okay? If you just want to cry and yell and express how you feel. I think your closest friends and family members, they will understand. They will probably put their arms around you and hug you and hold you while you're hurting. But it is important to allow yourself to feel your emotions. Okay. The fourth thing is to take care of yourself mentally and physically. Find time to keep up with your daily routine, to eat and sleep, to exercise, and do things that make you happy and bring you relaxation. Okay? I know when you're going through this, especially in the beginning stages of it, it's very difficult not to think, not to get your mind off and try to care about yourself, but you have to. Okay? You just got to push yourself through this. Even if you're not feeling it, okay? Even if you're not in the mood to do anything, you just want to sit in a corner and just sit there and cry or just be alone. That's understandable, but you have to still remember to take care of yourself. Okay, you still have to at least do the basics. You got to eat, you got to sleep, exercise. You still got to keep up with taking care of yourself. Okay, try to refrain from thinking of negative thoughts, of blaming yourself, or taking revenge against your cheating partner. Okay, this is something else that I hear a lot. I hear questions of how can I take revenge on my partner? And folks, while this is a very tempting feeling to have, and it's actually, if you're a human, it's natural to feel so angry that you want to hurt the other person as well. But two wrongs never make a right. Okay, and this is where emotional regulation is very important. This is why you need to calm down. Okay, when you're angry, when people are angry, people say things and do things that they normally wouldn't do, and it's because they're angry. Okay, and so thinking about revenge is not the right mindset. Okay, it's not going to help you or anybody else. And matter of fact, if you act on the revenge, depending on what level, you might end up going to jail, right? Is it really worth it? No, it's not, folks. No matter what we go through in life, and no matter how painful, We have to be able to process our emotions and deal with them. Okay. I'm not saying not to be angry. You have absolutely every right to be angry. Absolutely. But you have to control how you deal with your anger. Okay. And that's why there, when I know that when I hear that people have anger management problems, I always tell them they need to go to take an anger management course. There's courses out there for people that have anger problems, and that will greatly help you learn other ways to deal with your anger in a constructive way versus a destructive way. Okay. Um, so no matter what reasons for the infidelity, don't blame yourself, because even if your cheating partner tries to blame you and uses that as a reason to get even or hurt you, it's still not the right thing to do, because two wrongs don't make a right, which we just talked about. Um, and likewise, if your cheating partner doesn't blame you, but just decide to cheat, you wanting to take revenge out of retaliation is still not the right thing to do, because again, two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, so it doesn't matter the reason why your partner cheated. If they did it to cheat just for the sake of cheating because they weren't thinking, or it's still not a reason to take revenge. Or if they use it as a reason to blame you for they cheat, because I hear that a lot, where partners will actually turn the tables on the person and say, "Well, you're the reason why I cheated. You didn't do this, you didn't do that, and that's why I cheated." Folks, that's a very lame excuse. Okay, that's not taking responsibility. All right, when someone does something wrong, everyone is responsible for their own actions. Okay, we all know that. Okay, if you don't know that, well, let me tell you, that's the truth. Okay, you cannot. No one's ever to blame for somebody else's for no one so somebody else is never to blame for your own actions. Okay, you are everyone's an adult. Unless you're 5 years old, there's no excuse. Okay, so if your partner tries to say that, that's just ridiculous, and they're just trying to they're not being truthful, and again, it's very toxic behavior, trying to put the blame on you when they're the ones that committed the wrongdoing, and they're not owning up to it. Okay, that's just further toxic behavior that we've all heard of, and it's a way to manipulate and control you, and to lower your self-esteem to the point that you start believing that it's your fault. And so you cannot let that happen. Okay, if you're hearing these kind of excuses, just ignore those excuses. All right. um so yeah, the four things to take care of yourself mentally and physically. Okay, and the fifth thing is take time to calm down and think things over, which we kind of talked about earlier. It's important to be calm before making a huge decision of whether you can forgive your partner and if you want to reconcile the relationship or not. The best decisions are made when your mind is calm and not under stress or anger. So take the necessary time needed to clear your mind and reach a state of peace and calmness before making a life changing decision. Okay, so this is something that is important. After you have the conversation with your partner, the conversation may not go well. Okay, like I said, your partner may get defensive and try blaming you, and the gaslighting, as they call it, try to make you think you're crazy, right? Um, that could happen. Okay, the conversation may not go well, and so that's and if that's the case, you need to take more time out to calm down, because chances are, if the conversation doesn't go well, you yourself will be angry as well, and both of you will be in the state of anger, okay, and hurt. Okay. So if that happens, you need to take time to calm down. And then you need to think about things. Obviously, talking to your partner is not going to work. You'd already tried that. Okay. And if you have a pleasant discussion, your partner admits they were wrong and they shouldn't have done that, and that they admit that they weren't thinking, or they were frustrated because they didn't want to deal with the relationship problems anymore, and they thought they'd go outside the relationship, whatever the reason. Okay, it's probably not going to be acceptable to you. Okay, it's really difficult to rationalize a betrayal. um, I don't know there's any reason out there that could really justify someone from cheating. So chances are the conversation will not go well. You will probably still feel hurt and angry even after talking to your spouse, okay, or your partner. So this last step is to calm down. Okay. After you have your discussion, take some more time to think things through. Now you got to think about the next step. Okay, this is another this is these are the that's when the questions really come in as far as what do I do at this point? Do I stay or do I leave? Right? So it requires some thinking. And truthfully, folks, no one can really answer that for you. It's a personal decision. It's one of those decisions, it's a personal decision. Now you can get people's feedback, you can ask for their opinion, but no one really understands your relationship, right? You're the one that sees your partner day in, day out. You've been with them for months or years. You both understand each other, or so you thought you understood each other. Regardless, okay, the outsiders don't know your relationship. They don't know you 100%. They don't know your partner 100%. There's no way that they could really give you the right answer. The right answer comes from you. That's why you need to sit down. I mean, I'm not saying, of course, if you want to, if you need emotional support, you want to talk to your friends and family. That's fine. But ultimately, you have to be the one to think about what you want to do at this point, whether you want to stay or leave. Okay, if you decide to end your relationship, then you should consider counseling to help you through the grieving process of your breakup. And the grieving process is different for everyone depending on how painful and traumatic the situation was. Okay, so that's another question I get is, well, how long will it take for me to heal? It depends on how traumatic the situation is. Everyone's situation is different. Okay. And it also depends how you yourself feel. Some people take it to heart a lot more than others. Okay. So it's going to depend on the people involved and the relationship that's involved. So again, no one can really answer that question, but the key is to get help, to seek counseling, so you're going in the right direction so you can heal. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. All that matters is that eventually you heal. Okay, so we're not here on a race. We're not trying to race. There's no race or competition as far as how quickly to heal. It's just the important thing is that you eventually heal. Okay. So if you do decide to end the relationship, then I would suggest that you do get counseling. It's a life-changing decision. Those of us who've been married for years, 20, 30 years, it's a big deal. Okay. If you're single and you're in a long-term relationship that only lasted a few months, okay, it's quite different than if you've been in a relationship for 3 years or more. Okay. And I'm not making light of it. Any cheating or breakup is painful. It's considered a loss. Okay. So even if you are in a relationship for 3 months, it's still painful and it's still considered a loss. But what I am saying is that um someone, it depends. Someone who has been in a longer relationship will probably feel a lot more pain. Especially if you've been with someone, you've been married to the person, and you have children with that person, right? You have a whole lot, you spent half your life with that person. It's pretty traumatic. Um, so definitely go seek counseling if you can, and work through the grieving process to heal. Okay, if you decide to stay in a relationship, and some people do, by the way, some people do decide that they feel they've invested enough time in their partner, and they for some reason they have faith and believe that their partner is possible of changing, and their partner may have expressed a lot of remorse and has uh, offered that they would work on the relationship and make amends. So if you decide to stay in your relationship, then you and your cheating partner need to seek couples counseling or marital counseling if you're married. And counseling will need to start as soon as possible. Okay? You don't This is not something you want to delay. If both of you have decided that you want to work on this relationship and rebuild it, okay, you need to seek counseling. Seek either couples counseling if you're living together, or if marital counseling if you're married, as soon as possible. Both of you will need to work with a licensed and trained counselor to come up with a game plan in rebuilding the trust and setting healthy boundaries to ensure there will be honest, open communication, total transparency, learning effective communication skills, and resolving conflicts in a healthy manner. And that means both partners putting forth the effort to work on the relationship. Okay, so it's very important you both seek counseling. Find someone you're both comfortable with. Okay, if you go to the first counseling session and one or both of you are not comfortable, then definitely look for another counselor where both of you are comfortable. Okay, because you'll be working with a counselor for quite a while, for quite a few months, and you want to make sure it's someone that you can trust, someone you can be vulnerable with, and someone who's got the credentials, right? Who's got the experience, and someone who has the knowledge and the experience to be able to help you work through these issues. Okay, um, so and your counselor will come up with a game plan to help you guys rebuild the trust in your relationship. There'll probably be homework that the counselor will have you both do every day or every week to work on rebuilding that trust. And then to set healthy boundaries to ensure there will be honest, open communication and total transparency. And this is important. Okay. Often when someone goes outside the marriage and cheats, it's because they have no boundaries. They have little boundaries. Boundaries meaning there's a line, okay? There's a line between you and the outside world. When you get married or you're involved in a relationship, in a committed relationship, there's like there's a zone around the both of you that needs to be respected. Okay, I call it a zone. I know people may have another term for it. Regardless, there's there's a union that needs to be protected, fiercely protected. Okay? So obviously, if the partner who's cheated, they decide to go outside that's that union of yours, okay? Or they may have been tempted, okay? Either way, it's not an excuse. If someone in the outside, because I hear this too, right? A lot of people are entertaining um, relationships with married people, which is definitely not the right thing to do. Okay, being a homewrecker is not an honorable thing to do at all. Okay, but it happens. Okay, so your partner um may have been tempted and went for it. Okay, and the problem with that is they are showing the lack of boundaries. If they understood the boundaries, they wouldn't go outside the boundaries. They would understand there's a certain line that you and other people cannot cross to interfere and and disrespect your relationship. Okay, so the cheating partner has willingly, for whatever reason, didn't respect the boundaries and therefore allowed somebody else to come into your relationship and cause problems. And they allowed it to happen. And folks, I'll make this clear. It's not the other person's fault. Okay. If there's a third party involved, I know a lot of people want to sit there and point the finger at the third party or get mad and take revenge on the outside party. No, you need to realize the truth is your partner is the one that violated the marriage. Doesn't matter who tempted them. He or she is control of their own actions. Okay. So it's not fair to put the blame on the outside party that caused the cheating. Your partner willingly, as an adult, made the decision, even if they had no boundaries, to to go ahead and cheat on you uh, out of disrespect and obviously without the boundaries. So this is why I'm saying it's important that the counselor work with you guys and your partner needs to understand what boundaries are and how to set the boundaries and how to enforce the boundaries. Okay, this is going to be a weakness that your cheating partner has that they need to work on. Absolutely. Okay, this is crucial to protecting your union so this doesn't happen again. Okay, the other thing is um, honest, open communication and total transparency. Okay, which means, if they're feeling bad and they're upset, they don't need to go outside the relationship to complain about you I mean, and folks, we all do this, right? Don't we do this? All of us, especially women, right? We have a tendency that when we have a problem, we go straight to our girlfriends or we're with a group of girls and we sit there and we bash our boyfriends or our husband. We do this a lot. All of us do this. Okay. That's really not the right thing to do. And you know, men may not be as sociable as we are, but if there's a female coworker or somebody outside their marriage that is paying them a little attention, they will get distracted and they may choose to entertain that, which is still not the right thing to do, okay? But I'm just saying this happens. And so but what I am saying is that it's important um is to be transparent with your partner, okay? So when you have a problem, the women need to go directly and talk it out with their partner. They don't need to go outside the relationship and get and solicit opinions from everybody else. That's not going to help the problem in your own relationship. You need to go directly to the person you're having problems with. Same goes for you men. Okay, looking at the cute coworker or opposite sex friend that you know is not the answer to solving your marital problems. We all know that. We're solving your relationship problems. Okay, that's not it's an escape and it's distraction, but it's not a solution to your problems. You need to be open in your communication and transparent. Uh, okay, on your problems. All right, and just communicate your feelings. That if you're trying to resolve a problem and you can't come up with a solution, you guys need to take a break and maybe come back later and talk about it again. If you're at a heated moment, don't do anything rash. Okay, just be honest about your feelings and say, "Hey, look, this is a lot to take in. We have a lot of problems we have to iron out. I'm not in the mental state to solve it right now. Let's just take a break for a couple hours or for half a day. Let's come back and talk about this when I'm in a better mood or I'm not feeling as tired." Okay, you men need to communicate this. Okay, being grumpy and doing things that are destructive to your marriage is not going to help the relationship. You also need to be open and communicating with your wife or girlfriend and just say, "Hey, look, this is not a good time for us to resolve conflict." Okay. Um, and then learning effective communication skills and resolving conflicts in a healthy manner. I believe this is the main problem. Most of us do not like confrontation. We don't like conflict. Most of us would try to shy away from this and avoid it as much as possible. However, the problem is when you're in a relationship, okay, in a long term committed relationship, you have to have the communication skills and be able to resolve conflict. You have to. Okay. It's probably going to be one of the most important skills that you're going to have to learn. If you don't know, if you're not comfortable with it, you need to go to counseling and learn to practice um, how to be direct and get used to the feeling of resolving conflict. Okay, because if you don't resolve conflict, this is what happens. Often, a lot of times, this is what happens. Okay, people will stray outside the relationship because they're not comfortable with with the problems within. They think that by going outside the relationship is gonna solve the problem, or that maybe they think that if they go outside the relationship, that person will never ever. It's funny how us human beings think, right? We always think the grass is greener on the other side. Every relationship will have problems. Even the best of relationships will have problems because nobody's perfect and everyone is unique in their own way. There's always going to be differences, conflicts, disagreements, okay? You have to learn how to resolve conflict. There's just no way around it. If you want to be in a successful, happy, healthy relationship, you will have to learn how to resolve conflict. And a lot of people, especially cheaters, they don't want to deal with it. So instead of resolving it, they'll go outside the relationship just for a distraction or wishful thinking that their new relationship will never have problems with them. They'll just be problem free and then they think the grass is greener. Okay. Um, so here are some of my final thoughts on the topic. Unless the cheating spouse is a serial cheater, usually there's a breakdown of healthy communication between the couple when dealing with conflict. So sometimes the cheating spouse will go outside the marriage thinking the grass is greener on the other side. But often the grass is rarely ever greener, and soon enough, history will probably repeat itself. Meaning, if that person chooses to not work on the existing relationship problems, he or she may cheat again, hoping the grass is greener on the other side. And the cycle is a vicious cycle that they just keep repeating themselves. Okay. Because they're not dealing with the conflict. They're thinking the grass is greener, that they'll find this perfect person out there that will never argue with them. Okay. That is definitely a false sense of security. And the thinking is totally wrong because there's always going to, no matter who you end up with, you have to learn how to resolve conflict. Okay. And so these kind of, the serial cheaters, at some point, they're going to have to look at themselves because every relationship will end the same way. When the going gets tough, they just go on, they just leave and don't deal with it and they go find somebody else thinking that's going to be a better relationship or that's going to be the perfect relationship. And they just keep doing this. Okay. Um, so that's what, and then also I want to say in this case, cheating is how some people cope with stress and ignore the problems. Cheating then becomes a strong temptation and serves as a distraction for the cheater instead of dealing with the temporary discomfort of resolving problems in the relationship or marriage. I'm not saying cheating is justified and acceptable, but that some people deal with stress in destructive and unhealthy ways. Okay, so let me just stop right here. I really believe that cheating is just another way that people ignore their problems. Okay, they don't want to deal with it, so they find something that can distract them, so they don't have to think about their problems. Um, and I just want to be clear and say that, in my opinion, cheating is never justified. Okay, so although I'm giving all these reasons why someone would cheat, and I'm trying to explain to all of you, you know, the temptations and the reasons why people do what they do, I just want you guys to understand that I am not justifying it at all. Okay, I can understand why people do what they do, but that doesn't make it right. And I just want you all to be clear that, in my opinion, cheating is never justified, ever. And obviously, cheating isn't the answer because it just creates more problems, and now trust issues are added to the already existing issues. Okay, that's another ironic thing that happens. People that go and cheat, they don't want to deal with the problems, but by them cheating, they're adding more to the problems now. Whatever the problems that the two people have to begin with, um, certainly can't be worse than somebody cheating, right? So now they go and they cheat, and now they just added trust on top of all the problems that they already had. There's no gain, folks. Okay, and cheaters, some of these cheaters, they don't obviously they're not thinking it through the consequences, but truthfully, they just added to the problems, okay? Except adding trust is a huge problem. It's probably gonna be the biggest problem out of all the problems that they had existing in the relationship. So now they added almost an insurmountable problem, I will say, okay, in some cases. Meaning that, trust is not something you can easily trying to rebuild trust is not something you can easily overcome. So in some cases, it's insurmountable. Okay, and now they don't realize it. Now they just added a very serious issue on top of their existing issues. It never is a solution to a problem. It just creates more problems in the relationship. Okay, so I just want to say that um, cheating can also be thought as a form of neglect. It's important to mention that neglect comes in many forms in a relationship, not just cheating. Other forms of neglect include a spouse ignoring the other spouse, one partner giving the silent treatment. How often have we experienced that, folks, right? We've gotten the silent treatment from our partner. Stonewalling or turning to addictions like drugs, alcohol, being a workaholic, etc., to cope and escape the problems. So I view cheating as a form of neglect, just like all these other things I just listed. These are all ways that we all try to distract ourselves and avoid and try to escape our problems instead of dealing with it head on. Okay. So, under the umbrella of neglect is cheating, spouse ignoring you, or you ignoring your spouse, or you ignoring your partner, one partner giving the silent treatment, stonewalling. Okay. That's when you totally shut down and you don't say anything. When you stonewall somebody, it's like putting a stone wall right in front of you. All right. That's not healthy either. That's a form of neglect. Or turning to addictions like drugs, alcohol, or being a workaholic. Those addictions are destructive to a relationship, and and people do it because it's a bad destructive habit, and it's a way of coping with their problems instead of addressing their problems. Okay, and we see it all the time, right? How many people, again, the minute they're stressed, people grab a beer, or they have to go out and get drunk, or they have to smoke, or they have to do drugs, or they decide to be a workaholic, right? Oh, I'm going to go and do more work. Just going to bury my head in work so I don't have to think about my problems. So just want to make it clear that these are all forms of neglect. I'm not here to judge which is one is worse than the other. They're all going to be destructive to a relationship. Okay, any kind of neglect is going to be destructive to a relationship, and cheating is definitely falls under that as well. Um, these are all forms of neglect that are not healthy. It's critical that couples learn to work together to address the relationship problems as soon as they come up and not ignore them. Let me say this again. These are all forms of neglect that are not healthy. It's critical that couples learn to work together to address the relationship problems as soon as they come up and not ignore them. Neglecting problems is destructive to relationships. Instead, choosing to resolve conflicts will help to strengthen and build relationships. Okay? Ultimately, it will be up to the couples themselves to decide if they truly want to move forward and work on rebuilding the marriage or choose to end it. There is no right or wrong decision because it's a personal choice. I said this earlier. Okay, I know we all want to ask people for their opinions and to ask for direction, but when it comes to something as serious as deciding whether you want to end a long term partnership or marriage, it's definitely a personal choice. There's not anyone that can really answer that for you. You have to think of things through. You have to trust your own instincts, trust your own feelings in your heart. Okay, because you're the one that has to live with your partner and the decision that you make. So just realize that there's no right or wrong here. Okay. I know other people may view as there may some people that view as a right or wrong, but honestly, there is no right or wrong, whatever decision you choose. Okay. Um, some couples never recover from infidelity because trust is very difficult to restore. Okay, I mentioned this earlier. Trust is a very serious problem because it's the foundation of a friendship. And so there are some couples that just can't recover. I mean, some people just think they can. They go to counseling together, and then a year or two later, the one partner that was hurt um, finds himself still struggling, and they cannot get past the trust, the betrayal. Okay, so some couples just can't recover, and then they need to move on. They need to end the relationship and move on, because if you can't build or have trust in a relationship, you don't have a relationship. Okay, you don't even have a friendship, and you have to have a friendship before you have a relationship. Okay, because the friendship is the foundation of a relationship. So here's my thing: trust is the foundation of a friendship, but the friendship is the foundation of a relationship. So it all ties in. And if you don't have the foundation of trust, you cannot have a friendship or a relationship. And so um, it's going to be different for everybody. If you find yourself that you still can't, if you decide that you're going to work on this and you're going to stay, and you find out later that you still can't accept it, then you need to move on. You've given it your best, and you just can't get past it, and that's okay. Okay, you have to honor your true self. Okay, you need to be in touch with your own feelings and how you feel, and that's all part of being happy in life. And if you honestly given it your all, you try to work this out for 2 or 3 years, and you just still can't bring yourself to let it go and get past your partner's infidelity, then you need to end the relationship. Okay. But then there are some couples who can forgive and work together to restore trust and make a successful recovery. Okay. So um, there are couples that have been able to forgive each other, work with each other to restore trust and make a successful recovery. That does happen, folks. Okay. There are couples um, that trust can be restored and they were able to recover in a successful manner. Okay. And that's great. If two people can really work together and rebuild their relationship, I think that's great. But at the same time, if you can't, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Okay, we're all different. And every relationship is different. So I hope this has been helpful to those of you who are wondering what they should do. How should they deal with a cheating partner? Um, it's a common thing that happens with our divorce rate right now. There's so much of this that's going on, and there's a lot of hurt people out there. And my heart goes out to all those people that are experiencing it. Um, On a personal note, I too have experienced it. When I was single, I did date a guy who did end up cheating on me. Um, and well, actually, he what he did was he cheated. Before he cheated, he ended the relationship. So that was not a very nice thing to do. And obviously, he might have been in touch with that person even before we ended the relationship. But I still consider that cheating. Obviously, the person was loyal, was not loyal, and just was not being respectful to our relationship. So, and that was, it took a while. It took a while to get over that. So, I'm familiar with the feeling, and it's not a pleasant feeling. And you do go through a lot of different emotions. Okay, you go from very hurt, sadness to anger, to despair, even. You know, and it's a lot of emotions that you have to go through and process. But just be on a positive note. Just know that others have gone through this, and you're not going to be the only one, and you will not be the last one. Okay, but the key is to to take in all these things that we've talked about today, and then at the end of the day, you need to make a decision, the best decision for yourself. Okay, and like I said, you may decide that you want to try to forgive. Okay. Okay. And you may find out later, after a few months or several months or a year or two later, that you still can't bring yourself to get over the cheating. Okay. At that point, you need to make another decision. Okay. You're allowed to make more than one decision in life. So if the first decision doesn't work out, make another decision and move on. Okay. There's no one here to judge you or, or uh, tell you that your decisions are wrong. Okay, there's no right or wrong here. You need to decide what's best for yourself ultimately. And if you do decide later you still can't take it and you want to leave, you at least can walk away knowing you gave it your all. You tried. You can just say you tried, and you just can't bring yourself to let go and be comfortable with the person, being in a relationship with a person that once cheated on you, and you just can't cope with that. And that's perfectly fine. Just end the relationship and move on. Okay? So, anyway, folks, if you resonate with this video, please click like and click share. I welcome comments. If you have comments, please put comments below. If you have questions, I will answer them. And please subscribe to my channel so you can be notified of all my upcoming videos. And folks, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you soon.